G'day guys and welcome to the number one footy podcast in the country. It is our first episode, but we don't care, do we, boys?
We don't.
No, absolutely not. I'm your boy Joe, here joined by two very incredible people who are going to be driving this show through the stratosphere, if you don't mind. I've got Dutchy on my right, not on my left. On your left, perhaps, but he's on my right. Dutchy, how are we doing?
I'm going good, Joe. It's great to be here. Welcome to the show, guys. So this is exciting. The first ever episode of the number one football podcast, footy podcast, I should say. I'm pretty excited to be here to check in on you, to check in on everything Collingwood and the AFL in general, and we're going to have a bit of fun, aren't we, Coach?
That's right, mate. That's what footy is at the end of the day. Just have fun. Yeah, you don't win premierships by being miserable bastards, do you? So we're here with the number one footy podcast, and we're going to have fun.
We say that, but we are going to be miserable right off the bat because round zero sucks. Absolutely sucks. In its current iteration, and we need to have some change, don't we, boys?
I think so, and everything that happened with obviously the cyclone or the nearly Alfred cyclone, that didn't quite happen. We lost a couple of games, and that made it worse than probably how it looks. But I think they need to have a look at it next year. And Michael Voss, Coach, was mentioning a freaking great idea, which I quite like.
I don't mind it. Tell them.
What do you think about this, guys? We do 2 games in Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, and also Western Australia. Yes. And you give a dose of AFL football to every single state in Australia. Doesn't that make a little bit more sense? So everyone gets a little bit of vibe, a little bit of energy, a little bit of positivity, and we're off to a great start, and everyone is frothing.
Mate,
now everyone's...
Look at me, I'm getting bloody excited. I'm ready to go out and battle.
Everyone's frustrated because you've got to watch a team play that you don't like. And there's only 4 teams that play this weekend. It was absolute farcical, really. What would you do, Coach?
Well, like I said, I was saying to the boys before, it was like an orgasm in reverse. you walk in there, you're all excited, and then your life just gets sucked out of you. Like, it is like round zero. Like it's a nonsense round.
It's a nonsense round.
It is.
I agree. But, if I get the chance to see Collingwood get pumped by 50 points in the first round, it just seems to be a love fest between Collingwood and NG Stadium.
There is a lot of attention on the clubs that actually do play on this weekend. Yeah. If you stuff it up, then you are going to cop it from every angle, which is what's happening to Collingwood at the moment.
Well, you are the Collingwood man, Dutch. What did you notice?
Frustrated. Well, I've had a lot of people on the socials saying, what happened? Can you dissect it for me? Can you fill us in? Are there any reasons for what happened? Are there any excuses? Let's roll a little bit of footage so we can see exactly what happened, because in the first quarter, it was a pretty even game. In fact, I thought up until about the 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, Collingwood were clearly all over GWS. And what happened is there was a little bit of play, and you'll see it in a moment. I think Sidebottom cost us a goal with a loose tackle, which is a second goal of the game. And you wouldn't see that happen from Sidebottom in 300 games. And then later on in the piece, we had Ed Allen, who didn't quite stand the mark properly. And the player that, I think it was Stone who played on, he took an extra 6 or 7 metres, kicked the ball over the top, crumbing goal from Brown from the boundary, which was a sensational goal, if you remember. If you got him to do it 8 times again, he probably wouldn't be able to do it.
No.
Maybe once or twice.
Against Bombers, perhaps, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then that sort of got him going, because it was an exciting goal, boundary line goal, and I think the commentators were saying that could actually be goal of the year, or one of the goals of the year. The next centre bounce, what happened was I just didn't think we had any balance at all. We had, I think it was Daicos and also Pendlebury, who didn't sit on the outside of the GWS players. They got on the outside on the top end of that centre bounce and got the ball inside 50, but they went back to the middle and then they did the same thing again. No balance in the middle. They got sucked into the contest. I think Pendlebury got sucked in. They got the ball on that top end of the top side of the centre bounce circle, and they got the ball inside 50 again. And they got 3 goals in 3 minutes at the end of the first quarter, which wasn't great. But the worst thing was for me, as a coach, and because you're a coach too.
I am a coach.
And a good one, I might add. A very good one.
4-time premiership coach.
The very next centre bounce, they got another centre clearance. I think if you watch the vision closely, Josh Daicos overran the ball, tried to kick it off the ground instead of trying to handle it.
Yep.
And then the ball bubbled, and then what happened is he was on Toby Green at the time.
Oh, no.
Toby Green snuck out the back, We had players around the ball. He didn't need to go to the footy. He watched the footy. He ducked out the back, and he got another shot on goal. And lucky they hit the post at that particular time. But for me as a coach, when you go, they've kicked 3 goals in 3 minutes. We need to really knuckle down and man up and be accountable for the opposition, and not even worry about it getting a kick for the next 3, 4, 5 minutes. Try and get the footy back. Try and get the game back on our terms. But I think some of these players at Collingwood are just a little bit too offensive minded at this point in time. So maybe just a little bit of a tweak of the defensive skills might help.
I think you're on the money, Dutch. I mean that's looking at the defensive aspect of the Pies and what they did, but we can't underestimate their kicking for goal. It was atrocious.
It was so
you had
bad.
It was wasteful.
McRae one, you had Schultz one. I mean, the Schultz one, probably my grandmother probably could have kicked that.
Well, funny you should say that, Dutch, because I put it to the test, and have a look at this.
My grand could have kicked that.
I'm here with the pink ladies of Warrandyte. I'm honoured today because you're going to tell us whether my granny could have kicked the goal that Lockie Schultz missed. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's go. Well, let's see if you can kick it. Let's go.
Kicking from about 35 metres. He's pushed that wildly right. It's just that little area of the game.
My gran did kick it.
Oh my God! They actually did. I actually thought you were taking the piss. And then grandmother kicked it. My grandma did.
Grandmother, the Warrandyte Pink Ladies, they're an amazing bunch. They're doing great things for the community. Thanks for being involved. And I think we might use them throughout the year. They can be can the gran kick the goal?
Yeah,
what do you reckon, boys?
Well, let's use it. We'll use it again.
Yes.
Because there are going to be some goals that
be some
should
goals.
be kicked that aren't kicked this year. There's no
Gee,
question
Schultz,
about that.
that was disappointing for what you paid up for him.
Oh, it is. But there's so many other things too. But look, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. When you look at the stats, you got the disposals are pretty even. You had inside 50s. Collingwood were +1 in inside 50s, +24 in hit-outs. I know Briggs went off the ground. When Briggs went off the ground, I thought early in the first quarter, I'm thinking they're going to roll on by 6 to 8 goals here. It wasn't the case. They weren't able to make the most of their hit-outs. +21 in contested possession, Collingwood were, believe it or not. But they weren't efficient.
How do you lose?
They were -10 in turnovers. They were 10% efficiency in goal kicking and -10% efficiency in overall disposal compared to GWS. So they were just down on those areas. But the big one for me as a coach, and you know, coach, because you're a coach and a good one at that.
I'm a bloody good coach.
They were -20 in tackles. The pressure just wasn't quite there around the contest. For me, I'm just going, well, they needed to go in there. They need a harder body in the middle, don't they?
Well, who have they got to come back in? Because it's like I said, it's not all doom and gloom. You got DeGoey, you got Cox.
You got
massive.
Oh, big Cox.
It was a
we
massive
love big
omission.
Cox.
Well, we'll talk about Cox for a moment because I know he's a little bit maligned and some people don't like him as a player. I really like what he adds to the value of the team.
Structure.
And when you look at Taylor,
Stiffness.
for the GWS Giants, Taylor took 13 marks. 9 of them were intercept marks, I might add.
Unreal.
When you've got Cox down there, he is not able to play that role. You know, Cox will get a fingertip to it, a worst case scenario, and he's able to take some contested marks. One or two contested marks would be enough to nullify what he does, but also put a little bit extra score on the board.
Triple M boys did nothing up forward as well, right? When you're looking at Mychek, Membry, McStay. What did?
Well, I think if Fly had his time again, and I don't know what the meeting looked like, but if Fly had his time again, and I think any coach moving forward when you play against Taylor is you're just nullifying him. You're not even worried about really kicking goals. If you can kick a couple, it's a bonus. But you're engaging body. You're trying to bring the ball to ground. You're getting on the right side of the opponent. You're making sure that you nullify him so that he can only have 2 or 3. Intercept marks, not like the 9 that he had on the weekend, which would have been probably a record for the Giants.
Pretty good.
He is a very, very good footballer, and he needs to be stopped in the coming weeks. Otherwise, Giants are going to finish, somewhere near the top.
Well, part of the reason why I guess he was able to have such free reign is I suppose the entries inside 50 I don't think were really to your forward's advantage because McStay is a great player. You identified him from the Lions. I think Membry's definitely very serviceable. Mychek, club servant, he's a great premiership player. But you didn't have Nick Daicos firing on all cylinders this week. He copped the tag right from the get-go with Bedford. He was cramping up. Jeez, man, everyone was cramping left, right and centre.
And this is something, Dutch, and you can help me out here because I know you know about this story. But if you want to get rid of cramps, you got to get tonic water into you.
You
Now,
got to
this
have
is tonic water.
Yeah, yeah.
I've brought some tonic water because
Oh, have you?
it is hot today here
Oh.
at the St Kilda Sports Club. We are at the oldest, in the oldest locker rooms here in the, in the
100,
Southern
160
Hemisphere.
years of age,
Yeah,
they tell me.
So it does get hot in here. But boys, I've got some tonic water from my mate Scoopies, and there you go. Make sure you're staying hydrated because
That might be our first sponsor officially, Schweppes. Get on board.
Schweppesies.
I've got a little story about the Schweppes tonic, not necessarily Schweppes,
And
but
one for our
tonic water,
producer,
generally speaking. Tonic water is something that I use religiously for about the last 2/3 of my footy career, and even when I was playing local footy career, any time I ever drank tonic water, I did not cramp. And I had a bit of a cramping problem at one stage. Someone said to me, I don't even know if this story is true, so maybe if anyone talks to Luke Power at some stage, they can let me know.
Let's get him on the podcast.
Let's get him on.
Let's get him on.
Let's get him on.
The number one footy
Someone told
podcast.
me that Luke Power of the Brisbane Lions never cramped because he uses tonic water religiously. So the next week, I went down to the local 7-Eleven. I don't even know how 7-Elevens are. The local shop.
Yep.
And I got myself some tonic water and did not cramp one time for the remainder of my career. And they say it's something to do with the quinine, the compound in it called quinine. There's
Yes.
two things that quinine does.
Yes.
It stops you from cramping and it gets rid of parasites.
Oh,
apparently. Yeah.
maybe we could use it on Kane Corns then.
But it's a good thing you mentioned him. It's a great thing you mentioned him because I'm pretty sure he had an outrageous take about your boy.
Oh, Darcy
Darcy
Moore,
Moore.
yes, well, it is. Well,
What
roll the tape because this is really interesting.
I'm sure. I don't think he would. So this is a huge issue for them because you just said Taylor at one end, Darcy Moore's supposed to be their Taylor in a different version. He's not as big, but he's as important as what Taylor is to the Giants. He doesn't touch the footy in the first. He doesn't touch the footy in the first quarter.
Yeah, I know.
Does not touch the ball in the first quarter and gets exposed defensively like no key defender in the game with a reputation like that does. This guy would get $1 million a year, I reckon, Darcy Moore. He's signed until 2028. And this is an elephant in the room for Collingwood. It just is, and it has been for a long time, and it's one that they certainly haven't addressed, and there's no solution to it because they've got no backup. Like Reef McInnes is there, unfortunately for them, with no Murphy. So this is another real watch for me, and it has been for some time. I've been hard on Darcy Moore, and I'll continue to be hard on Darcy Moore because he's the captain of the biggest club in the country, and I'm just not sure, Kingy, would Darcy Moore get a game for Hawthorn right now?
The captain of Collingwood wouldn't get a game for
I don't think Darcy. If Darcy Moore was your average name, if it wasn't Darcy Moore and his name was Sam Frost, would Darcy Moore get a game with what he has delivered for the best part of 12 months now for Hawthorn? Would he be in front of Battle? Would he be in front of Barras? Would he be in front of Scrimshaw? I don't think he would. So this is a huge issue for them because you just said Taylor at one end, Darcy Moore's supposed to be their Taylor in a different version. He's not as big, but he's as important as what Taylor is to the Giants. He doesn't touch the footy in the first. He doesn't touch the footy in the first quarter.
Yeah, I know.
Does not touch the ball in the first quarter and gets exposed defensively like no key defender in the game with a reputation like that does. This guy would get $1 million a year, I reckon, Darcy Moore. He's signed until 2028. And this is an elephant in the room for Collingwood. It just is, and it has been for a long time, and it's one that they certainly haven't addressed, and there's no solution to it because they've got no backup. Like Reef McInnes is there, unfortunately for them, with no Murphy. So this is another real watch for me, and it has been for some time.
Well, what do you think? I don't know what you think, but Darcy Moore's a captain. He's a premiership captain, and he's round zero into the season. You've got to give him a chance to get things started. He's trying to claim. Is that a little bit too fizzy?
That's what I'm
for
saying.
you?
Just don't go
That's the
prematurely.
Schweppescence.
That is
that's what that is.
Should I open it? Should I open it? Should I open it a little bit lower? Should I open it a little bit lower?
Yeah.
Perhaps, maybe?
Yeah.
But I think you're right.
I think
How
his
do you
comment
judge-
just fizzed up a little bit like your drink.
Yes.
Now, Darcy Moore is 200 centimetres and can run like the wind.
Yeah.
You could stick him into any team, even if he's not going that well, and especially Hawthorn's team. Hawthorn's players...
They could do with one.
Hawthorn's players are all playing well because they're playing and they're connected at the moment. You stick him into that team right at this point in time, he could play anywhere. Full forward, centre-half forward, full back, back pocket. He could play anywhere. I mean, Collingwood, really need a bit more support, aerial support behind the footy. McInnes, I'm not sure. You know, we showed a bit of vision of, I think, before of McInnes. You know, one of the big reasons why they lost that game on the weekend, the third quarter was such an arm wrestle. And then with 5 minutes to go into the third quarter, McInnes dropped the mark. The ball went through Quayner's leg.
Yeah.
Darcy Jones gets out the back, takes 3 or 4 bounces, kicks an easy goal.
He's gone.
And you go, and there's 2 unforced errors that should never have happened. So, sorry to go, I'm going off the track a little bit here,
listen,
but I'm frustrated, Coach. I'm frustrated.
It's understandable.
And back to Kane Corners, I mean, you can make an assessment of these big judgments on the first game of the year. And, I mean, Darcy Moore, like you said, he can fit into any team. But how do you guys feel about Scott Pendlebury's performance? Because, to be honest with you, I was it's a bit lacklustre. Is he, look, again, it's the first round or opening round.
Yep.
But is he getting on a bit? Is his age starting to show, or am I just dreaming?
Nah, look, to me, he was never the fastest player, you can say. He was never the fastest player. It wasn't his speed that was necessarily what was getting him through his career. Was the speed of his thinking and the processing and the way he judges the situation around him.
He's got a basketball background.
He's got
Does
he now?
Apparently,
He does,
that's a rumour.
It's a rumour, yeah. Well, no, we heard other rumours, but we want to talk about those ones right now. But, you know, the problem is he wasn't getting caught on the ball as often as he is nowadays.
Yeah.
It's a faster game, I feel.
I feel like you can get exposed a little bit when the opposition is so good, and GWS are very quick, and we're not going to come in. Certain sides match up really against certain sides. I think GWS met up well and match up well against Collingwood. I think he is starting to slow up just a touch. I think he has still got great value. But I wouldn't be sticking him a first centre bounce of every quarter. I'd be sharing the load with maybe a 3-way rotation.
Or the goalie comes back in.
Well, you've got side bottom and Pendlebury. You could roll off the bench with Ed Allen, the 3-way rotation. Start Ed Allen in the middle, every single centre bounce from here on in. He looks like a good young player. He's got a little bit more, power in the legs, a little bit more enthusiasm and positivity. And you need someone like that to jump up and play well and give him some experience for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So I don't think they should be relying on side bottom and Pendlebury. Let's pull them back a bit. Let's let them just come in and play their role where they need to. Let some of these younger kids get into the middle and play. Obviously, we know Daicos went off the ground.
Yeah.
Cramping. Make sure he's drinking yours as well, Dutchy.
He didn't have his tonic water, unfortunately. But it was amazing. It wasn't just the Collingwood. I mean, they're bagging the Collingwood players for not preparing well enough, but the GWS boys were falling over too.
Yeah, exactly.
Really,
Look, we haven't got Lockie Whitfield, one of the most elite runners in the competition. He's cramping up through the third quarter as well. You had Will Day cramping up in the third quarter, and no one's questioning Will Day's preparation now, are they? Everyone's lauding Will Day for an incredible performance that he had on the weekend.
Well, before we get to that game, though,
Yes.
I want to talk about the coaches.
Oh, yes.
Because, that was a big talking point. The old Craig McRae and Adam Kingsley getting heated on the boundary line. What was your take on that? Because I would like to add to it, but I'd like to hear what you guys want to say first.
Yeah, that was great TV. I love the just panning to the bench. It's like, oh, hello, what's going on here? There's a little bit of backwards and forwards.
Yeah, well, interesting. Like at local footy, the benches are on the opposite side of the ground, or they're 100 metres away from each other for that exact reason. And because in local footy, when you go like that for a little bit too long, fisticuffs and things happen. Real things happen. Not like in AFL.
No.
A little bit of a and a bit of a push and shove.
20 grand fine.
Real things can happen. So
Exactly.
But that's another story. I'm not sure if they're going to be separating benches and things like that. They just want them to be on their absolute best behaviour. A lot of the commentary around it is saying it's very similar to the Hinkley setup last year. But it's so different. The only thing similar is that there's 2 coaches going it. That is the only thing similar. There's a coach spraying an opposition player. That is the only thing. Now, if you look at things and break it down, all he did is say a quick couple of words, and then he sat down. Kingsley said, "Mate, you better sit down. You've done enough." And he realised he did the wrong thing.
And why wouldn't you fly?
No one was really
Have
hurt.
you seen the size of Kingsley's arms?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, fly. You better be careful.
He looks like a fly in front of him.
Yeah, he knew he did the wrong thing because he sat down straight away thinking, "Oh shit, I've probably stepped over too far."
Yep.
But at the end of the day, no one was hurt by it. No, it didn't look bad.
No,
I mean, the media made it look 10 times worse than what it
So
was.
different to
And
Kingsley.
because there's only 2 games this weekend, they've got to highlight something. They've got to grab hold of something, and that's what they.
And you know what? It wasn't even my favourite. When coaches have overstepped the line, I mean, I love seeing passion and a bit of animosity come through in games of footy, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's all about passion. And look, let me give you 3 of my favourite times the coaches have overstepped the mark. So number 1, 2000, Kevin Sheedy and Mitchell White.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right.
Yes. Bloody
that was
What
hard.
do you reckon? What did she? Can you remember what he got fined for that? Did he get a big fine?
20 grand, I reckon.
Yeah,
I reckon
that's
it was
worth
up there.
probably 120
Yeah,
these days.
Mitchell White
He was
caught
right.
in
He's
front.
he's loaded sheets. He's all right.
Yeah, and then 2010, your ex-coach there, old Mick,
Yes.
he's
Oh,
come
yes,
down
that's
against
right.
St Kilda,
Yep.
and he's come up to Stevie Milne and he's called
That's
him a
right.
therapist.
He did.
He said,
didn't
"You're a therapist."
That's right.
Yeah, T-H-E.
Yeah, we.
R-A-P-I-S-T, you bloody therapist.
I think you're missing a space somewhere.
No, I'm pretty sure if you used it
No?
with a therapist, Dutchy, you...
Yeah, maybe
Back
he's
me up
talking to
there.
the physio. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe it was. But anyway, he
yeah.
got fined for that. But my all-time favourite, number 3, where coaches have overstepped the mark, 1980, Tony Jewell, Percy Jones, Carlton v Richmond, and they have just gone at it. They were actually trading blows. And there's nothing greater than seeing a couple of coaches with beautiful moustaches going head to toe. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I can see where you get your inspiration
Oh,
from, Coach.
mate, that's probably my favourite time that coaches have overstepped the mark. Yeah, there you go.
It was so different to Ken Hinkley, because Ken Hinkley's one kept dragged on a bit. There was definitely a lot more.
Well, the sign had
backwards
gone.
and
That was after
forwards.
the last quarter. The game had finished, and he was
Correct.
peppering him. He kept at him and at him and at him, and
Yeah.
it's just in bad taste because
Agreed.
you want to make sure that you're humble in victory, don't you? As a coach, you know what I'm talking
You
about,
have
and
to.
a good coach.
And a
I
good
might
coach,
add.
4-time premiership coach.
Whereas this one was a bit different. It was a little bit in the action of the game. It was all happening around him. He just said a quick couple of words. Probably knowing Fly, he doesn't swear, so he wouldn't have said anything too bad. No. And then next thing you know, but it finished pretty quick. And those guys are mates. And you know what?
Exactly.
They both diffused it after the game
Correct.
in the post-match conference.
Doesn't
Yes.
get further. It's
Yeah,
not like
by the way, we're mates. You know,
Exactly.
so maybe if they weren't mates, it might have been a bit different.
Yeah.
If they, like because I'm sure Sam Mitchell wouldn't have been too happy with Hinkley after that game.
Oh, no, he
from
said
memory, he said a few words.
Yeah,
didn't he?
absolutely. He definitely admonished
So the
him.
response from the opposition coach was completely different to this one, which is important.
very important. Well said, Dutch. Because you get rapport with coaches and there's respect.
Yeah, it is.
And so when
Yeah.
you've got respect, you can get away with saying a little bit of banter.
Yeah.
And that's all it was.
That's
That's
right.
all it was.
Yeah.
Let bygones be bygones.
Agreed.
Or Burgoynes be Burgoynes. Whatever.
Oh, that's a good one there, Coach. I like that one. I'll salute you on that one.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Cheers.
I should skull for that.
You just go for that one, exactly. But Sammy Mitchell, he's a bit of a firecracker himself. You know, he won't take a backward step. Even to Clarko, he won't take a backward step.
What was you like on the field, Dutch? You played against him?
Mate, he's a good sledger, actually.
Really?
Well, I actually got another. Actually, this isn't premeditated, but I actually have a good, not necessarily a good story, but a true story about Sam Mitchell. So his twin girls were in special care at the hospital at the same time my twin boys were there. So we were in ICU for a couple of days, and they got out of their went into their humidity cribs in special care. I was just walking through special care one day, and the wall's on one side, my boys are on one side, and he was on the other, and I walked through, and he goes, Dutchy, what are you doing here? And I said, Sammy, what are you doing here? He goes, probably looks like the same thing you're doing here. By the looks of it. So he had his twin girls
Wow, what a story.
very same time. So they must have been born 1 or 2 days different.
You know what would be hilarious if they all hooked up together.
Yeah.
You know, and then they have a generation of Hollands and Mitchells playing football. The genes come together, genetic prototypes. This is the best football you can get. Ones that can extract the ball, but also hit hard.
We're talking about Sammy Mitchell. Gee, the Hawks, mate, they are in ripping hot form. They've picked up right where they left off.
Yes.
But they're even scarier now because they've added 2 recruits to that back line.
Yes, they have. Obviously Battle and Barras.
Yes.
They look slick and they look like nearly they've grown an inch and they're thickened out a little bit. A little bit like my 13-year-old boys. They look like they've just gone through puberty and out the other side. And all of a sudden they've just become genuine men, ready to play footy, hit hard, run hard, and they're intimidating as well. They've got a very well-balanced team now. They've got it where they want it. And now they're looking for the dynasty, aren't they? And I can't stand Hawthorn, but
disgusting.
they are in the window well and truly.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to be in it for the next 8 to 10 years by the way things are going or the way things are looking. Sicily now has got the opportunity to go forward with Barras.
Yes.
Obviously in battle going back there. Obviously he got tagged on the weekend.
Yep.
They pushed him forward. He looked dangerous up forward. He looks dangerous anywhere on the ground, let's be honest.
It's true.
But that just gives them the luxury of being able to do that, which is a great luxury to have.
And I think I've heard some rumours that they're looking to try and get Oscar Allen across as well.
Yeah, really? Yeah,
You know, like if they
Where
get
did
Oscar,
you hear that rumour? Who are your sources?
Oscar Allen's missus.
Someone close to the source.
Someone maybe on the source, perhaps.
That might have been
as well.
the salt and pepper, maybe.
But they are an absolute ripping, Nick, going across to the SCG. They're not, beating the Swans on their home deck ain't no easy feat.
It is. How much can you take out of round one? They're important games.
Round zero.
How many times can I say round one? Round zero, ground zero, whatever you want to call it. It's shit. We've got to get rid of it.
Just get rid of it.
Just make it happen.
Make it happen. Just get it done.
Why are we having this conversation?
Why are we even having this conversation? Just get it done. But all seriousness, round one from mine, I don't want to go back too far, but let's go back a little bit. In 2002 and 2003, when we made grand finals at Collingwood, most particularly, we started poorly. In 2003, I think we had, what are those meetings you used to have? Crisis meetings. We had crisis meetings at round 5 because we were, I think, 3-2 and we got beaten by a pretty poor team at round 5 or 6.
Right.
And then we ended up winning 9 of the next 10 or 10 of the next 11 and made a grand final. So no one's going to remember what happened at ground zero, by the time you get to round 15. All right? It's what you do from now on that counts.
Exactly.
Son. Isn't that right?
Exactly.
You're a coach and a good coach at that
Of course.
too.
Great coach.
Four-time premiership coach. It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
You should be a coach.
Because that's how winning is done. Yeah. I'm just quoting Rocky right now.
Well, what about the Swans, though? Are we not talking about the Hawks? They're playing.
I still think they're going to be around the mark.
You reckon?
I think they're going to be around the mark. I feel like, obviously we're liking Hawthorn at the moment, but is it dangerous to peak early?
It is. But I still think the Swans are... Something tells me in my gut, Dutchy, there's a bit of they're almost demoralised after that loss in the grand final. And not just that one, but the ones that came before, they've been thereabouts. They've been such a great team for so many years. At some point, that sustenance that just gets them there, I think it's just starting to come
I don't know.
depleted.
I think, remember Cox has got probably a slightly different game plan. There might have been a few tweaks. You had McCartan play back and it didn't work. Play forward didn't work and they put him back on the ball. And then they started to get things going. They ran a tag on Sicily. I know he still played well, but things started to shift. And the Sydney cricket ground is hard to find space. It is very hard to find space. If you're not on your game, you're just a little bit off, you get done every single time. But if you're on a bigger ground like the MCG and you've got time and space, it's easier to get back into the game and score. But
you're right, Dutch. Who else to replace Horse than a big Cox? Because Dean Cox is, I reckon, going to be a great coach.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I loved it when Cox got the job. I couldn't stop saying that Big Cox lands the head job. It was perfectly set up there.
Do we want to make it through to next week? All right. To round one.
Sponsors are gone.
That's all right. We haven't got any. Hey, if you want to sponsor us,
if you do want to sponsor us, we are the number one footy podcast.
The number one footy podcast that might only have one episode.
Yeah, that's right.
The way we're going at this rate.
We're in trouble with the way we're going.
Mate, someone else who's in a little bit of trouble. I feel like Fox Footy. G's there in a little bit of trouble. I can just smell desperation from Fox. They put out that ridiculous rap. Did you see the rap?
No.
They put in a rap.
I do my own raps. I do great raps.
Mate, you have
They didn't copy the coach, did they?
No, coach copied my raps.
They copied your raps, bro.
Yeah. No.
I mean, sir.
Yes,
I can't believe I borrowed you. Sorry, forgive me.
Don't blame me again, son.
He's a very good 4-time premiership coach. No, but they put up a rap. I literally gave you the link to watch the rap.
No, we didn't watch it.
We didn't watch it.
Can we get that up, though? Can we get it up?
We couldn't click on the paper.
Couldn't click on the paper. Yeah, we're old school here. Well, this is the rap.
Let's get it up.
Yeah, this is the rap.
Fox Footy on the beat, Joe.
I see it, but I can't believe it.
The stage is set. This is fantastic. They're putting on a show.
Here it's game time. Lace up your boots.
We got the best commentators.
Coming live from the booth.
Fox Footy's here to stay.
No ad breaks during play. Every game of every round.
And it's all in 4K.
Super Saturdays here. So you know what that means.
Exclusive live footy.
With your favourite team.
Grab your mates, gather round.
504 is the place to be.
Up to round 8, right across the country.
If we haven't convinced you,
One thing you gotta know. Watch your games anywhere.
anytime with Foxtel Go.
Now we're bringing it home.
At Fox Footy, we care.
If you really love your footy, you'll forget freeware.
Phenomenal. That's off the scale. And that's one of the highlights of the year.
Just get the coach to do those. In future.
If you need a rapper, just come to me, Fox. What are you doing? That is atrocious. That's like getting, vanilla ice in NWA. It's terrible.
So they got
The disappointing thing about that is the only person who rapped in an American. When you rap, you got to rap in an American accent. Eddie Betts was the only one that used the American accent.
He was the only one that went hard.
He did.
He fully committed. I can't believe they got Cripper on there. Crips. You're allowed to say no, bro. Like, you don't have to actually go along with, here's some money, get on this rap. Like, he was the only actual playing footy player.
Well, like my kids say, you get to a certain age, you shouldn't be allowed to rap. You hit 31 and a half, you're not allowed to rap anymore, and you're not allowed to dance to techno either, apparently. That's what they say. So, anyway.
Well, I can live by those because I don't do either of those things, but they took that rap down very swiftly after it was posted, because they were getting ridiculed and rightfully so. And then they go and decide, you know what, we're going to make the highlight of footy be the scoreboard.
Oh, really?
And they just start off with the scoreboard being massive. Yeah, it was a bit of a glitch. They fixed it up soon after, but still, it's a massive scoreboard. Yeah, wow, so I feel like Fox Footy is really doing all they can. Oh, it's almost desperation.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on with the Fox, and then you've got the KO, and there's no free to wear at the moment. I don't know, geez. My grandparents were alive right now. I don't know what they would be thinking, what they could do.
Well,
they wouldn't know how to use a computer and download an application and all that sort of thing. There would have been a lot of people just rocking up, ready to see the action on Channel 7 and go, where is it?
I miss the Channel 7 days.
Yeah. Have you got any friends that were a bit disappointed in the...
Dennis Cometti. Yeah. He misses calling the game. And, that old 7 crew, him, Peter McKenna, Peter Landy, Drew Morfitt, those boys, they were the classics. They knew what they were doing. Bring them back. Bring that structure back. Bring the personnel, the excitement. Because, rapping. Come on, guys. What are you trying to pander to the TikTok generation?
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Leave that to me. Exactly. That's what I do, and I do it bloody well.
I miss the Channel 10 footy days as well.
Oh, right. Channel
10.
They had that game. Was it The Bounce? That show? The Bounce? Was it before The Bounce?
Before The Bounce, I think.
I can't remember,
The Couch.
Channel 10.
The Blue Pill.
Tim Webster on Sports Tonight.
Yeah,
anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
We're getting a bit sidetracked, boys. All right, back on track.
Back on track.
Questions. You put out some questions for someone to ask you something.
Yes,
and
what do we got?
You got some pretty good responses there.
What do I get there,
mate?
I did take a snapshot of those questions.
You did take a snapshot.
Fire away. What have we got there,
Now,
sir?
I'll give you one here. Post-footy, what is one thing? This is a question from Burnsy36. Thank you very much for your question.
On your Burnsy.
Post-footy, what is one thing you miss the most?
Oh, probably the one thing.
Getting rub-downs?
Sharon with the boys?
I was going to say Sharon with the boys, but I was going to say that, but no. I think it's probably the cash, to be honest.
That's the real answer there, ladies and gentlemen. That's the number one footy podcast right there for you.
What else have we got there, Joe?
All right. Now, Darren Taylor. This one's...
Daz?
Tails.
Now, you Daz, Tails, Darren. Now, he says, where does Cox fit into the team? Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is supposed to be an innuendo or if this is an actual question, but...
I think we did speak about this. Yeah. I think he still fits in. Like, if Cox had been in the team, not necessarily saying they would have won because they got outplayed on the weekend.
Yeah.
But they would have been able to double team Lockie Keith, who is not a ruckman, who is a key back or key forward, as we know.
Keith forward.
Keith, yeah. So they would have been able to double team him. They would have been able to keep Darcy fresh and put him forward a little bit more, because when he went forward a little bit early in the game, he took a couple of inside 50 mark. He's high valuable forward. Remember, you're not just putting a McStay in there, a second ruck option. You're putting someone in there 6'10" that actually can get a bit of ascendancy around the footy. So I still think he's got value. Plus, someone like a Taylor behind the ball is not going to have his way with those inside D50 contests.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to mark the ball like that. Cox will be able to bring the ball to ground. So I still think in the modern game, he's going to be a high value player.
Excellent.
Great, I agree. What else we got, Joe?
And if you didn't play footy, what would you have done?
I'd probably still be packing shelves in the local Coles in northern suburbs of Hobart, probably, I would think.
No, I reckon you'd be a great dancer, mate.
He would be. We'll get you dancing with the stars again. Get Alana Patience back in there. Have a bit of a salsa.
I thought everyone forgot about that. That's a long time ago, 2005. That's going back a while. That's going back nearly as far as my 8 goals in the MCG back in 2002. Wait, I don't know if you remember that.
You had 8 goals, did you?
Oh, I did kick 8 goals.
Yeah, he did.
8 goals won, in fact.
Against West Coast.
8 goals won.
Yeah.
So we're talking about efficiency in front of goals.
Well,
Collingwood
could learn
there
from
it is,
you,
right
Dutch.
there.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, because that was been especially good for you because you played for Freo first, and there was that ridiculous rivalry that you got there, between Freo and West Coast. They absolutely loathe each other.
Yes. So we had some really good tussles with West Coast over the journey. So obviously, when I moved to Collingwood, I still hated them just as much.
Exactly.
So I wanted to make them hurt. So I made them pay that day in 2002, round 2. Chris Judd's first game. Yeah.
A game you will never forget.
Yeah, I showed him.
Yeah, you showed him.
You showed him the way, and then he learned from you. How do you like that?
I taught him everything he knows.
Now, Dutch, you're coaching Marby again this year.
Yes, Marby Park, Maribyrnong Park Lions in the Essendon District Footy League. We won the flag in B grade last year, back up with the big boys in Premier.
That was a great
ready to
win.
go, mate.
That
We're
was a
only
great
a few
win.
weeks from round 1, obviously.
Trying to go back to back. I mean, it's hard when you jump in a league, but I'm there with you.
Yes.
So every chance. I mean, last year was a great win. We can have a look at us celebrating here. Have a look at this. This was last year.
Yeah, the coach came down and supported me on the day, which was fantastic.
Basically got him the win.
Did you bring the Renee Sting?
Obviously, mentored me throughout the year and taught me everything that I know
That's
to
right.
date.
That's right.
And without the coach, I couldn't have got it done.
So in the Essendon District Football League, I've been hearing some, well, it's not even a rumour really, it's out and about. About Mick McGuan.
Yes, my old Collingwood mate. And the Collingwood fans out there would like to know probably a little bit about this. And it's not ideal, but unfortunately, through an oversight, they were $45,000 over the salary cap 2023, a year when they actually won the premiership, I might add. So they were stripped of that premiership.
Just a misplaced decimal point something.
Yeah, 2022 they were $600 over, so they didn't get the premiership taken off them that year, but they're in a bit of strife at the moment, but they'll bounce back. Mickey's a good guy, and knowing Mick, it is an oversight. And clubs are out there trying to stretch the limits as much as they can, trying to get some wins and trying to compete as best they can. There are a few grey areas in the whole local footy thing, like at VFL.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, and AFL's a little bit different, but you can get jobs for players now. Like I can get someone a $200,000 job working for our podcast, for instance.
Jeez.
If I wanted to.
We should.
If we had sponsors.
Yes, if we had sponsors.
And then we wouldn't have to pay him to play.
Yeah.
But that $200,000 wouldn't go in the salary cap at local
Right.
footy.
It's
You
all
see.
done
So there is a
ways
few
around
things
it.
you can get around it.
Yeah.
But to be able to compete, you really got to push the envelope, so to speak.
I mean, Brisbane sort of knew all about that in the early 2000s.
Well, Carlton in the 90s as well.
Yes.
Carlton till now still got those endless brown paper bags, man.
Yes.
Every suspension, bang, they're off. No worries, mate. Don't you worry.
And it can hurt you long term. I think the good thing about Keilor is, and Mickey, they got fined and they got stripped of a premiership, but they get to move on, clean slate from here on in, and just get it right from here on in. And knowing Mickey's a great coach at this level of footy, he's probably as good as any that's out there, and I'm sure he'll bounce back. And the Collingwood supporters out there will get behind him, no doubt.
We believe in you, Mick. What else we got, Joe?
I think we've covered it all.
I think we're pretty much done for the night.
Zero. I think we're done.
Yeah, we've got 0 left.
Thanks for joining us, guys, out there. This is the first episode of the #1 Footy Podcast.
100%, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.
It's great to be. Can I just add one thing before
Yeah, of
you
course.
finish up, Joe? Mate, I just want to preach to the Collingwood supporters out there. I know it's only ground zero, whatever you want to call it. Premierships aren't won in ground zero, all right? They're won on grand final day, as far as I'm concerned.
You're right.
I mean, that's what I've heard anyway. So stick with us. We'll get it right. Fly's a great coach. We've got DeGoey to come back. We've got Big Cox to come back in. things are going to... Oh, and Houston. We have
Houston.
liftoff as well. We have liftoff next week, so stay tuned for that. He's going to make us a hell of a lot better. There's 3 good players to come back into this Collingwood team to make us better.
100%.
Joe. Take us out, Joe.
Thanks, guys, so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you had to see or hear from us today, please make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, rate us 5 stars on Spotify if you don't mind, because it will certainly help with the growth, with the support, and with improving this production week on week. It's going to be an incredible season. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all in the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Cramping! Quickly, give him the tonic water! Jesus! You got me wet, mate!
Well done. Good job, mate. Well done.